Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon?
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends, it is only yourself.
The Oracle will see you now. faces, weeping in the darkest night. Hey there, you trying to stand up on your own 2 feet and stumbling through the sky. Hey you are, when the lights go out and you're on your own. Hey there, how you gonna make it through to the morning sun? Sing to the moon and the stars will shine over you, lead you to the other side. Sing to the moon and the stars will shine over you, heaven's gonna turn the tide. Hey there, you looking for a brighter season, need to lay your burden down. Hey there, you drowning in a helpless feeling, buried under deeper ground. Hey you are, when the lights go out, it's a waiting game. Hey there, never gonna see a day when your world will change. Sing to the moon and the stars will shine over you, lead you to the other side. Sing to the moon and the stars will shine over you, heaven's gonna turn the tide.
かに続けることもあるさあるさまるで魚になった気分だよまるで水槽の中の魚まるで泳がない魚台風の夜は風が吹き続けて紙吹雪をまき散らすこともあるさ風に乗っかってね風に乗っかってね紙飛行機を飛ばし続けることもあるさなんだか夢のあることだと信じてます
hell and beyond. Psycho baffle, red rum. Here comes the drum in the background bumping. Got my heart screaming now, say something. Yeah, this is for what's left of me. Got the dog figured out, this the recipe. Let that funky rhyme on every funky beat and slang. East side nigga, this a west side. Hey, come on. That don't mean the two coasts can't blame to create this phenomenal visionary thing. I'm here one day, so I'm mostly gon' speak on the current defense in the game and they fleek. Bitches sucking a dick for a record deal. Niggas, and that shit for a large meal. You can take all that. And the cocaine links picking a little bit on my mic checking. I throw it in your face and it's like that in fact. But how's that? Hooray! Big 10 back up in this hill to stay. Hooray! Hooray! And it's like that. Motherfucker, hooray! Hooray! Big 10 back up in this hill to stay. Hooray! Hooray! It's like that. I'm straight from the lost and found, I'm low down. A bottom dweller, a rose scholar who inked out, scratched out with the pen. All through the player headshot. I'm the 10, I'm galactic. Half basket, I'm a Shadio with no rival. Cutthroat and broke, one of the hardest you see. The war can't stop without me. I'm lost in the game, swallowing the brain. Mad at the world, give me mine at all times. Fucked up, put more than motherfucker cup so I can wig out and freak out your brother jaw. Cause she's stronger than that. This makes it ooh, I'm 51, and I'm straight away to the shit. Decided to get me to this hard time. Lost lives and checks, motherfucker. That's not your last cigarette. Like that back, but I'm sad. Hooray! Big 10 back up in this hill to stay. Hooray! Hooray! It's like that. Motherfucker, hooray! Hooray! Big 10 back up in this hill to stay. Hooray! Hooray! It's like that.
I came too far in front. I'm coming with the shots to pump. We got more, cause it's what you want. In your section and throughout your section, in your area, throughout your whole section, yo, you can't front. I'm coming with the shots to pump. We got more, cause it's what you want. Thump it in your section and throughout your section, in your area, throughout your whole section, yo. Y'all know the dynasty, the roots repertoire, the lieutenant from the reservoir, serve the spar, the injured predator of a competitor. I send MCs where the paramedics are. At first I'm like, nah, I'm nonchalant from afar. The strike, they cut the fake rap star jugular with a regular balance of the cat burglar bar, known to parlay with Garcia, Vegas cigar. I know the flavor because me and the thugs, minds are mutual. We congruent, lay on the corner with the charm unit. I'm from the lab where the bombs distributed, so never try to duplicate the skills executed. Son, you get electrocuted from the worldwide reputed. Shine like nickel heat to blow your mind when I shoot it. Some know me as a man that's from the roots crew. Others is bad lieutenant off of Snyder Avenue. We go a eye for a eye, beheaded like a samurai. That'll go like the zipper on a butter leather. The bad Lord brings a bad weather.
inspired to reflect on own people's death? Or whose entertainment shall we sing or agony? And what hopes that the destroyers aspiring to extinguish us will suffer remorse at the sight of their own fantastic success? The last imbecile to dream such a dream is dead. He's killed by the saviors of his own dream. Armor 2000 seasons. I'm not a human being getting on some spiritual shit. A spiritual being manifested as a human, that's it. When I spit, I spray thoughts that's representing my life. Yo, I step into the spot, leave niggas open like mice. Take them on a tour, explore psychologies of war. Things you can't imagine if you never seen them before. Shorties come back raw straight after C-74. I welcome them back to the world they think is run by law. The world is run by men who use laws for tools. But I come through war tactics like Shaka Zulu. MCs are soft like Play-Doh, I shape them, smash them to pieces. Volunteer slaves crave the words I'm painting, the masterpieces. You hear them on the radio babbling, but the truth is traveling with the word I sent flying through the air like a javelin. Unraveling like a verdict, pounding in your chest like a gavelin. The highest court in Babylon, let's travel on. If the world is found, you think it foul is how you got to live. Then from the get your ass was foul, and foul just is how you is. No excuses, see life's dilemmas is set up like a mirror, just to show you all your faces, now your understanding is clearer. You had your chance for revolution, you let it pass you by. That's why I'm dissing whack MCs until the day that I die. Reflection getting you high, we stand our ground with the believers. The Leaning Tower of Pisa and the pyramids of Giza, no comparison. The way I flip it is embarrassing. Tis the season, ain't no caroling.
See, I collect in Brooklyn and along the dock.
That's the make like 2000 seasons. Flowing like spring water in the desert, boiling through the barren land when niggas take a stand like castles made of sand, free falling for anything. Nothing but a plan to fail for themselves. No sense of delf, needing daily affirmations and self-help. Yo, it's right in front your grill, stop looking everywhere else. Speaking of planning, hustling and scheming and looking for hookups. It took up too much time, you like a fiend for rocks that got cooked up. God bless the child, got his own shit. I got my team, so the fiends now become opponents. They the opposition, stronger from competition. Shining like a golden shower, your face I'm pissing in. Completing a genocide mission like the Warren Commission. Black fathers are supposed to be missing, while our sisters were supposed to be whoring. Saving for a rainy day, money is pouring. Under gray clouds, black butterflies still be soaring. Flying in the friendly skies, we classifying the highs. Blood be flowing through the streets like crimson tide in my eyes. The tide be having me drowsy, but I get mellow with the chronic. Intellectuals embarrassed cause we discussing ebonics. I'm on a roll like Sonic, in the age that the plague got bubonic proportions. Yo, I call it reparations, but they call it extortion. Whatever, just give me mine, but caution. You've been warned for the very last time, I'm not telling you again. So relay it to your crew, you gotta actually do. Forget the drive in, drive by, and drive through. You got to get out the car, humble yourself, tilt your head back and look at the stars shining over someplace very far from where you're standing. When the night is clear, you understand it just to put them there. What you know about the space you get lost in. Your peoples can't hear you through the distortion. The desert is absorption, you sucked in it, you stuck in North America freezing for like 2,000 seasons. And upon your return from raping and crossbreeding, your own people accuse you of deceiving and misleading and causing mass confusion, drug abusing. Now you are caught up in institutions. At this time you gotta break it down and be showing and prove it. And A&R told me that I used too many catchphrases. True.
Sing that shit samtidigt. Tärningkast 6 fra 6 av 10, så 6 G. Jeg skrev teksten i en 69. Mutual respektiv, mest effektiv. Se meg fleksi noe eksklusivt. Glinser som sprettkniv og grills. Mine tekniske skills er ingen skeptiske til. Ja, på durag og et sleskete smil. Går dypt som Lexington Steel i en Netflix and chill. Det her er hit som hit med De Niro. Vi to leverer varer som en Vito. Hvis du var i tvil, Vito er en varebil. Hvis du var i tvil, Vito er en varebil. Det her er hit som hit med De Niro. Vi to leverer varer som en Vito. Hvis du var i tvil, Vito er en varebil. Hvis du var i tvil, Vito er en varebil. Skrenser rundt i bensen med flus fra Berit Svendsen. Tøyen Halling legger ned bars som Patrick Jensen. Tendensen er player som parten til George Benson. Holder styr på finansen som Siv Jensen. Spytter flyskisen på smakinga. Take me to the Mardi Gras. Fuck rundt med oss, det blir et Arnedal. Puller opp i Lambo Gallardo på Barlardo. Lager sirkus som Arnardo. Kan ikke catche som Leonardo. Henger med gutta som kjører til strengen ryker. 20 yppete typer som fester som klyper. Puller opp breit som nakken til Sven Utsid. Styrte Domel Lucci, flip-flops fra Gucci. Dunker Stefan til så med Pierre Jan K. Alle vi har en smak av feit som Lucy Margot. Skyller ned Briat Savara med en glatt savanja. Ekte spillere vet, kjenner at leveren blir behandlet bra. Det her er hit som hit med De Niro. Vi to leverer varer som en Vito. Hvis du var i tvil, Vito er en varebil. Hvis du var i tvil, Vito er en varebil. Det her er hit som hit med De Niro. Vi to leverer varer som en Vito. Hvis du var i tvil, Vito er en varebil. Hvis du var i tvil, Vito er en varebil.
must have bought my first record like 11 years ago, and like very casually. Didn't even have a player, obviously. Had never seen a record before. Just I think I was just somewhere in Old Delhi, and this random, probably like a junk shop was had like a pile of records for like hundred bucks each, which is like $1.50 each. So I just picked the record with the most beautiful cover out of that, small pile. I just bought it, took it home, had no idea to do what to do with it. But I think that's the first time I ever bought a record. Before that, the only time I had seen a record was in movies, and I was just super fascinated by it. Just, you instead of like listening to music on your computer, now you have this sleeve, this massive sleeve, beautiful text on front, nice detail, track list on the back, who wrote the songs, who made the music, which year was it made, where was the copy pressed. So you had all these additional details now when you hold a record. So I was very fascinated. Soon after, I think a couple of years later, I met a neuroscientist from New York in Delhi, very randomly, just in a market, just because my friend was wearing a Led Zeppelin t-shirt. So we became friends very randomly. He used to work in a record store called Angry Mom Records in Ithaca, and he was doing his neuroscience studies, PhD, and he was collecting records in India. He was doing his PhD in how Indian classical music affects the minds of autistic brains, in children especially, and how that can be therapeutic to them, amongst many others, research topics. So Jeff was the guy who actually taught me the art of digging, how to spot records, how to kind of flip records, how to take care of records, how to spot a good record, how to take care of records. So yeah, man, shout out to Jeff, dude. It became a hobby. It became like a fascination at first. It became a hobby. I was in college. I didn't have a lot of money. So what I started doing was I started buying records and I started selling them. So for example, I bought five for let's say $20. I sold three for $20, and the two I used to keep for myself for free. So I got those two records for free. And if there's any additional money, I just used it to buy more records for myself. So I kind of started hustling. It became a thing, and soon after, then the blog happened. Then I started selling records, and it got to a point where I was like, okay, I can drop out of law school now just to pursue this full time. I was anyway losing interest in my law school at a very rapid rate. The thought of becoming a lawyer made me a bit sick inside. I just did not want to become a lawyer. And yeah, man, it just, the blog picked up. People started appreciating my what I was doing. I started getting more customers. And yeah, I took the plunge. I was like, I should just stop, being, just stop fooling myself that, I'll become a lawyer. I didn't want to be that in the first place. So yeah, man, I dropped out of law school and became a full-time record seller.
That's amazing. I don't know how many people in history have ever taken that exact path, dropped out of law school to flip records. That's amazing. I, we've met in Delhi, and your storefront, which you opened about a year ago, is officially, one of all of our favorite places to spend time when we're in town. And what I really love about the store, it's in a small space, but you've really curated it and designed it very intentionally. And I'm curious how you've approached sort of making a home for your operation selling records. Like what sort of influences you and the thought process that went behind it.
Uh, Look, man, I've been toying with the idea of opening a record store for many years now. See, I've been running the blog, I've been selling online for almost 7 years. And the logical next path was for me was to open a physical store, right? Nothing else made sense for me in terms of growing my business. But at the same time, it's so funny because 4 years ago when I wanted to start a record store, that time record stores were closing around the world just because real estate is so expensive and you've got websites like Discogs and eBay. And then in the last 4 years, the record industry has grown so much that now record stores are opening now. But my store happened, it just happened by chance, man. As Pranav, you've been to the shop, you've noticed my partner Malika's bakery is right next to my shop. So basically, what happened was Malika is a pastry chef and she had her production studio somewhere else in the neighborhood, and she was looking for a bigger space for her pastry kitchen. And then we found the space, and as you notice, it has two rooms. So Malika took the bigger room, and then we had this room which was empty, and we were like, "What do we do with this?" Malika's like, "Oh, I can make it as my storage." And then at that point, I was like, "You know what? Let me open a record store. I've been wanting to do this for a while. If nothing happens, bro, fuck it. I'll close the shop in 6 months. It's like an experiment for me." And 1 year later, I think I want to run the store for the rest of my life. I'm happy with the response. All the fears I had, all the doubts I had that, oh, what if it doesn't run? They're all gone. I couldn't have been more wrong. So it just happened by chance. And coming to the style and aesthetics, I know, dude. See, I've been collecting these records. Everything's super funky. Everything's yellow, red, blue. It's bright. It's colorful. And I know I was very inspired by the colors, by the fonts, by the designs I saw on the Indian streets, on truck art, on let's say, signboards, on pamphlets, on newspapers. So the store was inspired by just the streets of India and the main signboard. I found a guy who paints trucks. I asked him to make a signboard for me. So it's all also like shout out to Malika, man. She helped me design the store. It looks good because she has a vision on how to design things. Malika studied design in college. She set up her sister's cafe, also was all set up, curated, designed by Malika. So very thankful to her. If not for her, the store wouldn't probably look as cool as it does.
I
Yeah.
love that. Shout out Malika. Also, shout out the guys who paint trucks in Delhi because one of the most underrated parts about visiting is how beautiful the artwork is across all the trucks. The aesthetic goes so hard. And I definitely feel that in your store. And I feel that in your store in a lot of ways that I feel like makes the record shopping experience more enjoyable in a way that I've kind of lost touch with here in the States. I feel like everything when it comes to retail and commerce has just become Appleified. It's very minimalist, clean crates that have very little personality. The music is in the records, but it's not really out and about in the store. If it is in the store, it's just like almost a caricature of itself of like a classic American record store that has kind of metalish fonts and like is all about 60s rock and roll. So, I mean, it's very refreshing to come to your store and just see all this vibrant artwork and imagery and even the way you display the records. And I feel like for anyone who might be shopping in India for the first time, record shopping in India, the artwork, the cover design of all these records looks so different. And they're approaching it with a totally different set and sensibility of graphic design. So yeah, I don't know, it really like activates, I think, several senses in a way that you don't really feel anymore. At least, Sean, I don't know how you feel. That's how I feel in record shopping in the States these days.
Yeah, man. See, the store was designed because, see, man, if you actually been to a very middle class Indian household, it's the opposite of minimal. It's quiche. It's like there's things everywhere. You've got curtains with like the most amazing, like these, Gujarati designs or Oriya designs. This stuff everywhere. So I wanted the store to be the opposite of minimalistic. Even like I found that the walls were too clean, so I just took out old record sleeves. I just cut them up and I just stuck all those little characters. I'll send you a picture later. You remember the wall in front of the,
Oh, I took pictures
right
of it. I
behind
think it's
the,
amazing.
yeah. So I just found that the walls were too empty, so I just cut out stickers and stuck them on the wall. Just because I don't know, I don't like all this minimalistic approach. It can be nice, but it's just all the fucking record stores, all the cafe around the world, they look the same now, dude. It's all IKEA fucking furniture, the same tables everywhere. Everyone's trying to have this, oh, we're so minimal and we have so less shade and we still cool shades. I like, no, fuck that, dude. I'm gonna be the opposite of that.
And you can feel that coming and happening in India more and more. Like every time I visit, every few years, I see more and more cafes, stores, coffee shops, everything kind of has that vibe. But you're in a great area, and I love walking through it because, yeah, like the pastry shop, your store, you have to walk up a flight of stairs, and it's this small room, but you utilize the space so effectively. You have more records in there than a lot of record stores in the US have that are four times the footprint. So I think you use it really, really effectively. And I think what will be interesting to people because I unfortunately know more lawyers than I know record store owners. is what is the day to day like of stocking the shop, selling, sourcing records. Tell us about, what all is involved.
So let's start with sourcing first. So sourcing, it used to be a bit easier. Like let's say 5 years ago, it was much cheaper. It was much more economic for me to buy records. See, man, you have to realize the business I'm in of like secondhand Indian records. It's a bit risky. I'll be very honest because we're talking about a country where records haven't been produced since 1995. The year I was born, they stopped making records. So we're dealing with, let's just say that in India at this point of time, there's only a finite number of records that exist. They're not being made anymore. So whatever was made back in the day exists. So you know what I'm saying? So day by day, more and more sellers are, there's more and more sellers, there are more and more people getting interested in records. So more people are acquiring, small parts of that finite number. So it's definitely getting more expensive. It's getting more harder to source them. It's getting more rarer that I get like more packages sent to me every day. So first is that sourcing is like I used to travel all over India, make contacts, have them. I'm connected with them on WhatsApp. So every time, so these are people who are not really record sellers. They deal in things that other people throw away. So for example, this guy in Gujarat, he not just deals in records, he just deals in anything and everything. It could be old magazines, it could be old records, it could be small showpiece item. So I've built a connection of people like this. They send me records through parcel now. I don't have to physically visit them. Everyone's got a mobile phone, everyone's got 4G internet. Every time they get something, they send me pictures like, hello Nishan, good morning. Here's what I have. Here's 200 pictures of what I got. So I basically see firstly what I want from that 200 from my personal collection, and then I see what can potentially sell at my shop. And I usually try to buy things that make a bit sense. I don't want to just buy all 200 just because they're cheap. I don't want to, stock very mediocre, you know, musically non-interesting albums that I don't want to stock. So that's pretty much how curating's done. Many times now that I have a page on Google Maps or something, my contact information is out there. Many times people are like, "Hi, is this a record store? Do you sell records? I have like a bunch of records sitting at my house. I don't know what to do with them. I noticed that you sell them. Would you be interested in coming over to my house and taking a look?" So sometimes that also happens. So like sometimes I appreciate when records come to me myself. It makes my life a bit easier. It's also a surprise factor. You don't know what to expect when you go to the house. Secondly, what happens at the shop day to day, man, it's interesting, man. You never know who walks into the shop. It could be someone you don't know. It could be someone whose music you admire, and suddenly they just walk into your shop. It's fun, man. See, it's really nice. I enjoy it. I don't see myself doing anything better. It's like it's I've still haven't been able to understand. What's the most fascinating part is just seeing what people buy at the end of the day. At the end of their time, just to see what they bought. Why is the Spanish girl buying Marathi bhajans? I don't know. Why is this guy from Germany so fixated with Bappi Lahiri's stuff from 1985, to be precise? It's fascinating, man. It's like someone from, let's say, Delhi wants Bengali nursery rhymes on vinyl. It's crazy. I try to understand that. I try to talk to them as much as I can. And it's crazy the stories they have. It's like, oh, I was traveling in India 10 years ago and this guy in Dharamsala introduced me to Lata Mangeshkar's record. And now I live in Spain and I listen to Lata Mangeshkar every week when I'm thinking about India. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, so many stories, man. It's amazing, dude.
you're literally living high fidelity. Like that's literally the plot line. And even
The
like, I mean, owning it, but also like I think the process of like going and finding and going to people's houses, like that's incredible. Like you kind of mentioned it earlier, but like what do you look for when you are going to people's houses? Like what kind of do you look for specific sounds or years or artists, obviously, but is there something even physically you look for in the vinyl on the cover or anything?
no, firstly, the record should be in good condition. They should not be like extremely scratched up. A bit of wear and tear is understandable and that's fine. Secondly, like, like Western stuff always sells at my shop. Let's say like the Led Zeppelins, Pink Floyd, Simon Garfunkel, all that stuff. There's always a market for that because those are the artists that a lot of people in India, when they discover good music, that's the music they start off with, like classic rock. Fleetwood Mac, the Beatles, the Doors, Jimi Hendrix. So that always sells in India and that will always sell in India. Secondly, is obviously the second most selling genre at my store is the Indian funk, the R.D. Burman, the Bappi Lahiri, all that. So I look for that always because it just, that is probably the stuff that sells the most to people who visit my shop who are not from India, to like foreigners basically.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
Thirdly,
That's what I have in my
yeah.
collection right now.
And thirdly, like Indian classical, I love to stock Indian classical. That sells both the Indians and both the foreigners want Indian classical, some nice soothing sitar, some santoor, some classical vocal. And then you have like the classic, the Bollywood, the non-funky Bollywood, the ballads, the folk songs, Lata Mangeshkar, Asha Bhosle, Kishore Kumar, all that. And apart from that, I mean, if there's something fascinating which is in good condition, I'll buy it, man. Like nursery rhymes, I'll buy it. Bhajans, I'll buy it. Punjabi stuff, I'll buy it. Bengali stuff, I buy it. I like to have variety at my shop, even though I know the Bengali stuff doesn't sell as much as the Indian funk. I still keep it, man. It's just if someone's coming to the shop looking for a Bengali record, I hate to say that. Sorry, I don't have any of that. So I try to keep some of everything, like everything possible. Like if someone comes and says, I'm looking for like a, let's say, Telugu disco record, I probably have one, if not a big pile.
Yeah, and that means like curation is the name of the game. If there's like a finite number of records around, then you differentiate yourself by having a specific taste, or people know to go to your shop for something specifically versus someone else's.
I hope so, man. I mean, it's like I just said, man, I try to keep records that are like musically nice. There's a lot of records made in India which were like not really good, let's be honest, man. Like the late 80s stuff, early 90s stuff, when the when like Bollywood movies became action and like the police and the gangster, all that shit, the storylines became that. That was like the dark, for my opinion, musically, like the early 90s were like horrible. So I try to avoid that. I've never personally collected that. I haven't seen people buying that in my from me personally. So like in my 6 7 years, what I've noticed, the kind of music that doesn't sell, even if I find that for cheap, I try to avoid buying it, man. It's gonna sit at the shop, it's gonna just take space. No one really likes the music. So I feel like everything that's at the shop, it's nice, it's interesting. There's no mediocre albums. It's yeah.
No, my last thing about this is like, do you have kids coming in asking about samples of their favorite songs if you have the OG sample of it? Of
In
like
what
hip hop
sense?
record, like if hip hop records are like, one of the big things I look at is like the Fortet 2017 record. Are people coming in and asking, do you have the OG sample of this, or do you stock any of those things?
Oh, it's a great question. I've never had someone come and say that I'm looking for the original sample of this. But what I do have is I have a pile, I have a special pile of Indian records that were sampled in like popular hip hop tracks. So like
Nice.
I think that pile sells a lot. And currently what I have is I have the Jay Paul Straight Outta Mumbai sample, which is Ravi Shankar by Meera. I have the Forte 2017 record, which was like a Hanuman Bhajan record by Hari Om Sharan. I have that. I have the Asha Bhosle record, which was sampled by Travis Scott in his song called Uptown. And then I don't know, there's like a few others, very
I
random
feel like you have
samples. Like,
Toxic, if I remember that correctly.
oh yeah, I have Toxic, man. I have the record that samples Toxic. I have the record that sampled in the greatest hip hop song of all time, Auditorium by Mos Def. I have that
Yeah,
one. I have a few other very random like hip hop like songs that are sampled in hip hop. I'm not really big into them. Like artists like Russ, if you know that artist Russ, and then the
yeah.
few Indian records that were sampled by Diplo. Not my cup of tea, like those English songs, but the Hindi songs are damn nice, which were sampled by them. So the pile, I really focus on that pile, man. It's very interesting. It's like every time I play the Jaipal sample to someone who know about the state of Mumbai, they're like, "Yo, what?"
That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So that pile I love curating, man. Not even gonna lie. That pile I love to add more stuff to that pile, and you know, it's a shame because there's so many records that I have in my personal collection which I didn't find again because I kind of want to make them available to the customers as well, but I also just have one copy. So my personal pile of Indian records that was sampled in hip hop is way larger than what I have in the shop.
You got to keep some sauce for yourself. I mean, that's part of the joy. Like, you want a record store owner who's excited about building their own collection because that's like the best person to talk to, best person to form a connection with other, spirited collectors who are traveling to Delhi to. I mean, I loved what you were saying about all these people of niche interests who are coming and are looking for one specific thing. And clearly, the way you're putting together your store is resonating. I mean, I've, been coming back now and you're still at 5 stars on Google, more reviews every month. I mean, no one has a single bad word to say about it. And I want to go back to, it was a while ago now, but we had talked about, you had mentioned how the country sort of stopped producing records after 95. But your most recent endeavor, you do a lot of things, which we want to touch on in this interview, but your most recent endeavor is kind of starting off this label arm that put out the Excess Department debut, that incredible record. Sean and I are always talking about it, but you put it out on cassette, this beautiful cassette. I have a copy at home. I love that thing. I want to get a sense of how you decided it was time to start adding to the tapes and maybe one day vinyl that is being produced in the country.
Uh, I don't know, man. See, it's like when you buy from other labels, see all these contemporary labels, I've been buying from them so much. Like, let's say Soundway Records, Awesome Race from Africa, Habibi Funk, Light in the Attic. When you buy from people from other contemporary labels, there's always that thing in your mind, oh man, I wish I could, start my own thing. Oh man, I wish people were buying from me. And it just made so much sense. Like this Excise tape, man, I somewhat saw that album being made from like, from the demos to how the record sounded, how the album sounded as it did in the final cut. So it came from I don't know if it's like it sounds fucked up to say, but I just wanted to own that myself on cassette.
Not fucked up
And
at
I was
all. That
like,
resonates.
and
It's
I
like,
was
why not
like,
you?
yeah. So I was like, dude, I would love to own this on cassette. And I'm sure there's 99 people out, more 90, 99 others who would want this. So, let's just start it, man. I'll be honest, man. Half of the decisions I've made, there's no planning on them. There's no like fucking meetings on them. There's like no thought behind it. It's just if I feel like I'm comfortable doing something new, I'll do it, man. It's the same with when I started spinning records. It's the same when I started writing about music. It's the same when I want to open a shop. It's the same when I want to start the label. So like I'm like a very lazy guy, dude. I do things very slowly at my own pace. So if I feel like I'm comfortable doing something, I'll take the plunge, man. So like with Excise, it's like 100 cassettes is it's funny because 100 cassettes is not a lot if you think about it, but at the same time, it's like a lot. So when you're deciding on how many cassettes you have to make, it's like, oh man, will we sell 100 cassettes? And then someone will be like, yeah, man, easily. But it's like, you never know until you start selling them. So just got the cassettes made. It's like, I was like, dude, fuck it, 100 it is. If we need more, we'll get more, more made later. And like, dude, it's like the response to those cassettes was crazy, man. 2.5 days, we had like 70 copies in India. 30 overseas, and it wasn't just like, we sold all the copies in India. Even the copies overseas were like gone in 3 days. The copies in India were gone in 2 days. So I've got like at least 25 messages in my inbox saying, "Hey man, can I please get a copy?" And then I would reply to them, "Man, we'll get another 100, made soon." And they'll be like, next week I get a message, "Hey, other 100 cassettes here yet?" I'm like, "Dude, it takes time, man. Really sorry." It takes at least 2 months for cassettes to be made and shipped from Canada to me in India. So yeah, man, and like as I mentioned before about the pressing plant, there's always some good there's also some good news. There's a pressing plant in India now for the first time since 1995. So a pressing plant is open in Mumbai. So I've been talking to them. I've hopefully if I'm able to get like a good price with them, if I trust their quality, if I know if the kind of pressing they're doing, hopefully I'll get I'll get all this great music pressed on vinyl as well very soon.
That's beautiful, and I love, 30 years later, finally there's vinyl being produced in the country again, and I think it really resonates with the theme of kind of this whole episode that we've been thinking about, which is, and we've talked about a lot on our platform about how most listeners have almost defaulted the entirety of the way they consume music to streaming, really focusing on the convenience of it, the fact that, for $10 a month, if not less, for all the discounts, promotions you can get, you can access all the music at your fingertips on your phone, which is always in your pocket. But we've all seen there's so many indicators that physical media is still resonating with people now more than ever, increasingly every year. And I'm curious what your thought on that is. What makes sort of it takes months to produce. It's often more expensive. It takes up space in your house, and it's harder to play. Despite all those drawbacks, like what makes physical media still worth engaging with in 2025?
See, man, I've heard. See, everyone I speak to who collects records, they collect records for a different reason. A lot of people feel it's because it sounds superior, man. That was never the case with me because a record only sounds superior if you have like a very crazy sound system, bro. Like the sound system I have, I was never the kind of guy who collected records because they sounded great. They sounded better than digital. I'm sure they do. I just never had the kind of expensive setup, to realize that. For me personally, why I love records, why I started loving records was because I was finding music that I just did not know existed. So it became like a video game for me in real life. I was just finding stuff, just these covers, man. Sometimes for this old Indian music, the covers on Spotify would be like a generic sleeve. And when you find that on wax, you'd be like, oh shit, I didn't know the cover was so funky. Yo, why is there an elephant in the sky, basically, on the artwork? And secondly, it's just for me when I listen to an album on vinyl, I feel like I more often than not, I listen to the album in its entirety. On Spotify, the skip button is too tempting. If I don't like the first 30 seconds of a song, I'm before I know it, subconsciously, I'm at the next track. Before I know it, I'm done with the album in 5 minutes. I didn't even give a shit about the whole album. Whereas on vinyl, even if it's like a very mediocre album, it's like even if I don't really like it, really vibe with it, I end up listening to it in full, man. Also, like when you buy an album, it becomes a part of your life, man. Spotify, it's like it's hidden behind an app. When you have it, when you buy it, it's just in your life, man. It's in your house. When you move houses, you take it along. You see it when you're browsing for other records. So I know I've seen a lot of people have different reasons. For me, it's like a lot of people when they come to my shop, they're very disappointed with my answer when I say, no, I just like it because I listen to it in full. They're like, oh, what about the sound quality? I'm like, it could be, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. I don't know. With this kind of sound system I have, and with the kind of shitty claw turntable most people have, it doesn't sound well, man. If you don't have like a turntable that costs like a fucking fortune, dude, they just don't sound good unless you have a great turntable. Sure, it looks cool. Sure, it's amazing. Sure, it sounds loud, but Spotify will still sound better unless you have like a very expensive turntable and a very expensive speaker.
Totally. So your movie would be average fidelity then, like no, that's cool. Me and Pranav talk a lot about like friction, and I think about like my college radio station days. We had to review albums. And yeah, it's very easy to skip on streaming, but you kind of like we kind of talk about the beauty of sitting with something you don't understand at first, and you might not like it, and then you grow to love it because you're forced to, because you have to listen to it because it's there and it's the thing that you are playing constantly. So I don't know, I think what you're talking about there, the friction is pretty beautiful. The other thing I would say just about records, and I would want to know your take about it, is there's a lot of albums now that on streaming for sample issues they get taken away, or for label issues they get taken away off of streaming. So it's become like the record version is the only version that exists. One of those records for me is the Fortet Morning Evening. It was on Spotify. I think there was a Domino Records dispute, but now the only version is the people who have it. That's the only thing that exists. I'm sure you could find it on YouTube and rip it. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, if you've come across that where it was on streaming and now you only have it in a physical form. But yeah, I don't know if you have any of those examples, but
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, what's that album by Most Def which has Auditorium? I'm forgetting the name. I
I
think it's
can't
called
remember
the
the name
Ecstatic.
either. Oh my God.
I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. That's
Ecstatic
it.
or something.
Yep.
That's
Ecstatic.
people
Yeah,
are
that's
people
the
are
one.
dying. People are literally dying for that record to be on streaming. It's not there, dude. Half of De La Soul's discography until recently wasn't on Spotify. I think if I'm not wrong, when I read somewhere, when the original contracts were made, there was obviously no mention of streaming. And when streaming came, I think both the parties just could not find like a proper agreement. I could be wrong, but that's what I heard. So there's a lot of examples actually out there. I think the one of the Glass Beam song from the first EP. I think it has a Dam Marodam sample that only exists on vinyl now. It's taken off streaming as well. Probably some sampling issues.
There's something new I discover almost every month in one of my playlists that, some song will be grayed out. And a song that I was listening to, if not like 2 months ago, there's a song by The National that I love that I can't access anymore on streaming. There's songs by Chris Crack I can't access anymore. And yeah, it's a reminder. I think one reason that physical media is so essential these days is because we take the internet for granted in so many ways that like the access to everything will always be there, but that can change at any second. And it has changed several times over the last, several years. And, there's enough of everything out there that people tend not to notice. But that also, I think, is an indication to me that the relationships we're forming with music are becoming more shallow. Because, when I was younger, if when I, spent my money to buy like a physical record, it was the only way, I really could listen to it was buy it on iTunes even, that was kind of the era I came up in. If someone just like took that away from me, I'd be devastated. Nowadays, music gets taken away from my access that I never really owned in any in the first place. And it's like, okay, well, there's something else out there. And I think that's such a disappointing sort of development of the way streaming has permeated our lives.
Yeah, no, man. See, when you buy a record, you have it for life, dude. You have the songs for life. You do whatever you want with them. No one can snatch that away from you. Even if you buy a record and if it gets taken off Spotify, it probably doubles in value right away, dude. The Most Def Ecstatic album, just because it's only exists on vinyl and on like illegal downloading websites, it's worth so much, dude. That record sold for like I think when they sold it, it was like $20. That shit is like worth $400 now.
Yeah, easily. That's the same with the Fortet thing. It's doubled, tripled. Yeah, totally.
This literally reminds me, and no one does this anymore. There was that era, I feel like it was like 20, I might be in the years wrong, but like 2014, 2016, kind of in that time frame where artists would delay putting their music on streaming for a week or two, or they put it on one service exclusively. And Sean and I this must have actually been earlier than 2014 because Sean and I were still in the kind of end of high school days. But I remember when Taylor Swift's 1989 came out. Taylor Swift was not an artist either of us cared that much about at the time. No disrespect to Taylor, but it was weeks where that was the only way you could get it. It wasn't even on iTunes. The only way you could get it was buying the physical record. And Sean and I went back and forth. We're like, oh my God, everyone's talking about it. It's taken over the discourse. I haven't heard it though. Like I'm not in touch. I'm not in tune. And we literally went to Target and we bought like the Target edition and we played it in our car just so we could experience, what people were talking about. And
Yeah.
that's like music we weren't even that individually excited about. But there's something about that. There's only a certain way you can access this, or a channel in which you can, because streaming as an interface, to me, it just cheapens so much, right? Like you press the skip button way faster. You don't really spend the time getting involved or thinking more critically about the music you're listening to. But there's also something about when it's so easy to access, like anyone could access. And I don't know. To me, it just feels like there's something beautiful about starting a record collection. I always say it's like the most expensive hobby that you'll probably actually not use as much as you think you'll use. Because, like, when I'm out and about, I can't take my record player with me, and I'm still listening to music on the go. I'm about to go on a 13-hour plane ride. I gotta save some music on my phone for it. But like when I am listening to music on my records, the experience of it's almost always like 10 times as personally fulfilling.
I'll also say, like, shout out buying your homies records when they don't have a record player and
Oh my
starting them
God.
off on like an addictive personality thing. That's what I did to Pranav, and I've done to a few homies. Just buy a record I love for them when they can't play it, and then they have to go buy it. So
I was just looking at this
I
record every day, and I was like, I need to be able to hear what's in this packaging.
I fully agree that, man, it is an expensive hobby, and I probably shouldn't say that. It's like I should say like, oh, it's the best hobby in the world. It's so convenient. It's so easy to take care of your records. It's not, man. It's just I know. It's like it's tough, man. See, I've never really thought about why do people start collect, or why. It's like for me, it's like it's fun, man. It's like, if someone who loves music, if you love an album so much, you deserve for it to be a part of your life, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like some of my favorite albums, I have them, like the Tyler the Creator, James Blake, Slow Dive. It's like even if I'm at a phase in my life where I am not listening to records, man, it's just I know somehow you want to support your favorite artist. When you buy a record, obviously it becomes a part of your collection. It's a nice conversation piece. You can even flex it to your friends. But it's just that when you buy a record, a huge chunk of that record sale goes to the artist. Probably like it'll take that artist like 100,000 streams to make the similar money of one record sale or something like that. I don't even know how many streams you have to do to get like, let's say, $6, but I'm sure it's a lot of streams. And you probably get that from one record sale as profit.
So no, I do think it's a perfect segue to, one of the questions that we really want to ask you, because I think it's going to filter into the radio show itself, which is, what are some of your favorite records in your collection, and why? And we're hoping to play some cuts that you mentioned in the mix that we have on Half Moon.
Before the interview, I picked out three records that I'm really, really enjoying these days.
Keep prepared.
First is called Explorations. It's by three of the greatest Indian jazz musicians from the 70s and 80s. It's called Explorations, recorded live in Calcutta. It's by Braz Gonzalez, who was a saxophone player. This guy, and the second artist is Louis Banks. He's a keyboard player, and the third was a singer called Pam Crane. So these three, they did a concert in Calcutta in 78. And for some great reason, they ended up recording the concert and they ended up releasing this record in 78. So the original pressing is like a $600 kind of holy grail. And recently, my friends, they run a record label in Calcutta called Free School Street Records. They reissued this, they remastered it, only 250 copies made. Amazing record, amazing quality, amazing pressing. Shout out to Free School. Dude, it's like amazing. It's got three songs on each side. I'll send you a streaming link to this. So I've been enjoying this a lot. I've been selling a lot of copies of this at my shop. Every time I introduce this to someone, if I give this to someone at the shop as a recommendation, I don't get it back. It goes with them. They ended up liking it so much. So
I
this is
love
the
that. And
first
people
one.
can't see, when they're listening, but something I miss about that streaming is taken away is like the back of records. You can see the album art, you can, zoom in if you really want to see it close up, but the back of it and seeing the faces of everyone who's a performer on the record, I mean, it adds, people listen to music on streaming that's just been plugged to them, and they don't even know what the artist looks like, where they're from at all, anything about their story. And I love that about, the record you just showed. Like, this was recorded in a place at a time by these people already, if I put that on my turntable, I'm going to be thinking about all of that coming into the album relative to if I just, have Spotify play something for me. And I'm like, this is just sound washing over me.
Dude, exactly, man. So this record, if you see, that's the good thing about record, man. Over here, you got the whole lineup of who played what. You know who played the tabla. You know who played the mridangam. Spotify, any streaming app will never tell you this. This record, it's never been on streaming. I think the only place it exists fully, I think like 5 years ago, I had the original copy. I raped it on YouTube. That's the only
Damn.
way to listen to the whole album, dude. Before that, I think someone had just taken one song, done the effort of ripping just one song. So the first time this album was fully uploaded on the internet was on my YouTube channel. Not talking highly about myself. I'm just telling you how rare these records are. And then when you have a record, you've got the liner notes, man. So the album is called Explorations, and the liner note starts. The first sentence is so cool. It says, "Exploring is perhaps the most operative word in jazz. From its inception, it has been a music of constant search and change. At no point will a jazzman say, 'I've arrived. This is the best sound ever.'" So this is how it starts. Beautiful liner notes.
Wow.
You only get this stuff when on record, man. Spotify doesn't have the space to put all this shit, dude.
No, 100%. I mean,
they could.
you said it. Yeah, they could. You also said it earlier, like the reason why you fell in love with it is like reading liner notes, understanding like the year and everything. Like me and Pranav were the nerds in high school memorizing this stuff that no one cared about,
Oh, traces of romance in my head, heaven holding a half moon, shining down on us. Let's slip off to a sand dune real soon. Kick off a little dust. Come on, the cactus is gay. Take you for a ride. meet you. Got to be there. Got to meet you, baby. Got to be there. Got to meet you. Oh, midnight. Keep it right. Don't be late. Make that day. I'm gonna be there, baby. I gotta meet you at midnight. I got to be there. Got to meet you. I got to be there. Got to meet you. I got to be there. Got to meet you. I got to be there. I got to meet you, baby. Come on strong, come on strong, come on strong, baby. Everything's gonna be alright. I meet you, baby. I meet you, baby. I meet you, baby. I gotta be there at midnight. Everything's gonna be alright, yeah. If you meet me at midnight, everything's gonna be alright. I got to meet you. Gotta be there, gotta meet you. Gotta be there, gotta meet you.
So coming back to what I've been listening to these days, the second album is Eternity by Alice Coltrane. But Alice Coltrane for me, it's just her music is just so beautiful, dude. So peaceful. Anytime I just want to relax, have a good time. I listen to Alice Coltrane. It's just the most soothing, the most new age. It's like her music feels like a warm hug after a hard day, right? So, dude, Alice Coltrane, one of my favorite musicians, super amazing album. And I could say that about all her albums, like superb, dude, superb, absolutely superb. And the
Another
truest
one of
record
one.
dude, Alice Coltrane, bro, no one like her. third record I've been listening to a lot is More Arriving by Indo-British jazz guy called Sarthi Korwa, dude. Amazing percussionist, amazing record. It's like I think I have all of his records. I've had the privilege of seeing him live, opening for him a couple of times. And this album, and especially this album, dude, this album had a lot of vocals on it, which is very different from what Sarathi's discography is. So this one has Prabdeep, this one has, Delhi Sultanate, this one has, MC Mawali, he's got like rappers from Mumbai, from Delhi, dumb musicians, Delhi Sultanate, Prabdeep, two of my favorite Indian musicians. Amazing album, dude. Super nice. I got this signed as well by him when I opened for him in Delhi. So
Alright then, East Indies to the West Indies, and all the colonies.
The Delhi to lage Bombay de Punjabi.
Judgment.
Meri gali de teri gali bhi. ਇੱਥੇ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਪਾਲਣ ਨਾ ਲੱਗੀ ਸਨ ਪਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਮਝਦਾਰ
To all the hustlers,
ਚੱਕ ਦੋ
ribbity bang bang skank, hey. No.
Yeah.
Now hear this. Cocaine run by the CIA. Opium smuggling I run same way. Tata Company they came up in this way. East India Company they came up in this way. I'm them super shot the farmer man. Say I'm them super shot the farmer man. Say I'm them super shot the farmer man. Say I'm them super shot the farmer man. Well let me unravel the travel of Miss Mary J. One day she leave India reach Old Harbour Bay. In the casino leave India get plant a J.A. Nowadays it are the biggest export to UK. Watch this, it was started in 1866. Babylon take holy man and drop them in a black ships. In a farmer slave ships, work night and day shifts. If you be packing a sense if we keep them to it or lift. Livelihood and link up to the ganja crop. Me no want no one with belly, me no want no one I got. Manali, farmer man, them all have not stop. And Babylon to persecute, we have to conquer back. Imagine farmer, army and battalion with the real general stripes and medallion. This is Delhi Sultanate, the next millennium. Preaching, bringing music for the old and the young. Cocaine run by the CIA. Opium smuggling I run same way. Super shot the farmer man. Say I'm the super shot the farmer man.
ਨਹੀਂ ਜੀਣਾ ਤਾਈਓ ਔਖਾ ਕੁੱਟ ਪੀਣਾ ਔਖੇ ਵੇਲੇ ਮੌਕੇ ਗੱਲ ਲੱਗਣ ਤੇ ਚੰਗੇ ਕਿਨੇ ਲੋਕੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਖੁਦ ਦੇ ਨੇ ਖੰਡਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਲਈ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਹੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਲਈ ਵੇਚਦੇ ਨੇ ਨਸ਼ਾ ਹੁਣ ਕਈ ਇੱਥੇ ਫੜ ਲੈ ਕਈ ਪਤਾ ਵੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਜੇਲ੍ਹ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ ਕੀਤਾ ਤਿਆਰ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਰੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਨੌਕਰੀ ਮੁਨਾਫਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਪੱਕਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਵਾਦਾ ਨਸ਼ੇ ਵੇਚਣ ਲਈ ਕਤਲ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਹਰਨ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਬੰਦੂਕ ਫੜਨ ਲਈ ਦੇ ਤਾਵੇ ਹੌਸਲਾ ਲੈ ਲਈ ਆਜ਼ਾਦੀ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰੇ ਖਾਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਬੱਚੇ ਲਈ ਰੱਬ ਹੋਵੇ ਪੈਸਾ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਜਿੰਨ ਗਰੀਬੀ ਚ ਗੁਜ਼ਾਰੀ ਜਨਤਾ ਲੱਭੇ ਖੋਟ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਲੱਭੇ ਵੋਟ ਬੱਚਾ ਲੱਭੇ ਕੋਕ ਕਲਾਕਾਰ ਲੱਭੇ ਨੋਟ ਕਿਨੂੰ ਦਵਾ ਦੋਸ਼ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਰਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਐਸ ਦੇਸ਼ ਨੂੰ ਲੋੜ ਤੇ ਵੇ ਦਿਖੇ ਬਰਬਾਦੀ ਕਰੋੜਾਂ ਦੀ ਆਬਾਦੀ ਦੀ 47 ਚ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਆਜ਼ਾਦ ਹੁਣੇ ਵੀ ਆਜ਼ਾਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਚ ਖਰਾਬੀ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੋਈ ਸਮਝੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਿਆਰ ਤੋਂ ਵੇ ਨਫ਼ਰਤ ਬਸ ਗੱਲ ਹੋਵੇ ਗਾਂਧੀ ਦੀ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਕਿਉਂ 84 ਦੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਦੇਸ਼ ਦਾ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਕਿਉਂ ਤਿਆਰ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਜਾਵੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਆਵਾਮ ਦੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਕਿਉਂ ਦਬਾਵੇ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਮੇਰੇ ਦੇਸ਼ ਦਾ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਕਿਉਂ ਤਿਆਰ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਜਾਵੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਆਵਾਮ ਦੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਕਿਉਂ ਦਬਾਵੇ ਸਰਕਾਰ
CIA. Opium smuggling a run same way. Tata Company, they came up in this way. East India Company, they came up in this way. On them super shot the farmer man. Say on them super shot the farmer man. Say on them super shot the farmer man. Say on them super shot the farmer man.
We visited the abode of Dr. William Spooner, the Oxford Don, who, 100 years ago, was confusing all and sundry with his unique habit of transposing the first letters of two adjacent words, hereafter to be known as Spoonerisms. I couldn't have bet it putter myself.